Heart first leadership isn't what you say, it's how you show up, how you regulate, how you communicate, and how you execute when it matters most. We are Heidi and Ryan Sawyer, and you are listening to the Heart First Leadership Podcast.
Welcome to the Integrated Mindset Podcast. I am Ryan Sawyer, your co-host, alongside
Heidi Sawyer.
There she is, the one and the only. It must be Wednesday at noon because we're doing this live thing. It becomes, I like doing live. I realized today as I was driving home, trying to get here in time.
Gives you a deadline.
This is like, that's when the podcast is going to be done. It actually just makes it, so when are we going to record this week? We haven't recorded this week. We still got to record this week.
Right.
Here we are.
And I like that. Honestly, I've done podcasts other ways where you record them further in advance, and it is nice to have content coming out in real time versus something you recorded, 6 weeks ago or 3 months ago that's not even really relevant anymore.
Yeah, I'm just checking to make sure we are live. There we are. Look at us. Hey.
Right, cool.
Awesome. So we are, what commitment is this?
We're on commitment number 4.
Number 4. And what we're talking about here, in case you are new, just checking in and just following what we're currently doing on this podcast, is we are doing a book study of sorts with the 15 commitments of conscious leadership, which again, maybe you've heard us talk about this before. We like to always relate this back to relationship with ourselves, with living in general. So conscious living and awareness, to be able to live above the line versus beneath the line. Above the line is open, it's spacious, it's wonder, it's curious, it's courageous, and it's one that leads towards experiences that we want to have in life. It leads towards connection. Like, I just think that this is so important to understand, is when we're talking about living above the line, we're talking about making connection the priority rather than defending our ego, coming from a place of I'm good enough rather than I'm not good enough. And a lot of this is very unconscious, how we operate in the world to try to make ourselves feel safe and secure. Now, this is why I'm saying that, is because commitment number 4 is speaking candidly. And in my personal opinion, this is the one that causes not the most resistance maybe, but seems the hardest. Seems the hardest to, if you've never done this or explored this, to actually imagine yourself speaking this openly about what you're experiencing, what your truths are, what your sensations, what your feelings, what your thoughts are, right? After reading through this chapter multiple times and kind of like thinking of it, it's one where I highly recommend you practicing it in a very safe environment first. Right. And so we'll go further into that. A marriage is a great place to start. Your children is a great place to start. Maybe a really good friend, close friend, sibling, or parent, maybe it's a good place to start. And if you are a leader in a corporate type of world, or you do have a business and you want to start to engage in that, but make sure it's communicated on the front end, because it's completely flippant how most of us have navigated conversation, have navigated relationship, and therefore the connections that we have. So let's read it, and then we'll just see where we go.
Okay, so let's start with the commitment, which is I commit to saying what is true for me. And then the second part of that is I commit to being a person to whom others can express themselves with candor. And I think that's important. The second piece of that, and we'll get more into that as well, is just being able to listen openly as others are expressing themselves, and kind of what you were talking about, making sure that you are doing this, practicing this with someone who has also committed to speaking with candor, and that you have kind of an agreement going into it that this is how you're planning to communicate and express yourself, because otherwise you can catch people off guard and they're like, whoa, what's going on? Why are you coming at me in a completely different way than you have in the past? So the below the line commitment is I commit to withholding my truth, facts, feelings, and things I imagine, and speaking in a way that allows me to try to manipulate an outcome. I commit to not listening to the other person. I think a lot of times we can communicate in a way where we're trying to manipulate the outcome, without being consciously aware of it.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Again, I think I've said this before. One thing that has come into a place of complete clarity when it comes to being human is that in one way, shape, or form or another, everything that we do, everything we think, everything that we feel, everything that we act upon is, one way or another, trying to make ourselves feel okay. Right? Trying to feel safe, trying to feel okay, trying to feel good enough, trying to feel worthy, trying to just be okay in here. And so the beginning foundational component, as I read through this and I'm like, hey, what does this really mean to me? When I talk about being able to speak my truth, I think we have to be just, first of all, a little bit careful to just think that this means that you can just tell people whatever the hell you want.
Yeah.
Right?
You might not want to do that.
That's not what we're saying here.
Yeah.
I think it's to be very understanding and aware of what you currently are experiencing internally. Your truth means what you're experiencing inside of your body, how that feels inside your body, the meaning you're taking place, like that you're placing on things in such a way to bring light to the things that need to be healed or objectified for your own growth, much more than telling somebody the judgments you have about them so they change. Right.
Yeah. I love this. In the beginning, they talk about, it seems as simple, speaking with candor, it's like, it seems simple, tell the truth, don't lie. Right. But they've done this in the study that they talk about here. It seems clear cut and obvious, but not, they have a research study where 97% of the people admit to outright lying. Well, why do we lie? We lie to try to manipulate the situation. And I think that we can get in the habit of trying to people please and trying to avoid conflict and trying to fix things and not really, like you're saying, say what's true for us in a way that's constructive and actually builds connection in a relationship. And they give some great tools in the book, ways to do that and ways to kind of connect those dots as well. One of the things that they talk about, I'm trying to find it here, is this concept of revealing or concealing. And when we're withholding how we're truly feeling or what's true for us to someone else, we tend to start to withdraw from them just in subtle ways. And then from that place of withdrawing from them, then we project onto them our judgments about them, which are typically also judgments about ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this is foundationally the part that I highlighted that I really liked, that was like, okay, what's the outcome we're looking for? I already mentioned it. The outcome by being candid or practicing candor with others is connection to ourselves, connections with the people who we care about, the people who we're in relationship with, people who we're in business with. Yes. But this really comes down to a conversation about energy. A conversation of energy preservation and of energy, being able to be clear about where you are leaking energy. It's really easy to leak energy by just acting like, oh, I'm not going to tell them what I really think. And I think it's really easy to think about this in terms of, like, say, a friend of yours who maybe isn't taking responsibility for something, and there was a miscommunication of sorts, and you didn't completely finish the loop. You didn't finish the loop on that conversation. So you kind of hold a bit of a grudge, right? And so, then you're thinking about, oh, this is what I would have told them, and I didn't say this, and you want them to know that you disapprove, right? And so then now you begin to just go, well, that person is not for me anymore, and so you withdraw.
Yeah.
And in that process of withdrawal, all of those ruminations, all of the justification, all that rationalization happening by your mind is all using up precious life force energy.
Oh my gosh.
And you legitimately what I call leaking energy. This is something I came up with this morning. Her and I were in conversation, Heidi and I were in conversation about something. And I want to be very, very aware of where our attention is at. And for us to intentionally place our attention with intention to make sure that if we feel it being drawn someplace we don't want it to go, that we recognize that in that moment, who we're being and what we're experiencing in a way that we're not allowing for ourselves to leak off energy.
Yeah. Yeah.
That keeps us from the connection we want to have, from the business we want to have, from the life we want to experience, you know, the life we want to give our children, all these different things. And so when we begin to just lay it out, put it on the table, right? This is how I'm feeling. I'm frustrated and I'm feeling the sensation inside my body. And I'm able to objectify it in a way saying that this conversation I'm having with you right now is not to try to change you, but to make sure that we are aware that this is what I am experiencing. This is my truth. This is how I feel. This is how I'm thinking. So I'm able to objectify it, to create some self-detachment from it, to be able to observe it from 10,000 feet. So that can no longer be withheld, right? Or concealed, right? In a way that's going to steal my energy. Because the better I get at speaking candidly, the better I get at taking responsibility, the better I get at feeling my feelings to completion, the better I get at, what's the other one that we've done so far? The 4 commitments.
So taking responsibility, learning through curiosity,
being curious,
and feeling all feelings.
Feelings, and now speaking. The better I get at these commitments, and as they begin to stack on top of each other, the more I'm going to have energy. And energy means power in life.
Yeah, right? I like this where they say that, like especially in the work setting, that if we're having this depletion of energy because we're not being forthright, we're not sharing what's true for us in a scenario, we're not communicating in a way that is meant to create more connection and less withdrawal and withholding and projecting onto other people. What happens is people express boredom, lethargy, and they just lose their motivation, their performance drops. And I think that's what happens to us in life as well when we're withholding something. I just had a scenario come up yesterday with an employee that I'm doing some training with. And I had some constructive feedback for this person. And rather than addressing it right away and practicing this commitment to speak with candor and to do it in a way that's meant to connect and better, you know, the organization as a whole, I kind of sat on it and withdrew a little bit, and then had the opportunity to take an authentic action today and have that conversation. And of course, I felt all this energy return to me because it was communicated as constructive, and the person was like, yeah, absolutely. Give me the pointers and the coaching points. I'm totally wanting to get better and learn from this. Yeah. So I think sometimes in our mind, we can make up a story that someone's going to be upset or we're going to cause some kind of disruption in a relationship or in a working environment when we do speak our truth. But oftentimes, if we can address it in a really gracious way, like using the tools that we're talking about here, the result is way better than what you would think. Yeah.
So again, coming back to, you know, we say leadership, self-leadership and marriage, right? I want to read this. So whenever we withhold, we withdraw. Initially, withdrawing is often subtle. So we do it just a little bit, right? You know, and it could be super small things. And we begin to create this little bit of space between the two of us. We're no longer are, you know, doing life together. It's kind of like, well, I'm over here doing my thing and you're over there doing your thing, right? And that is very initially subtle, and it adds up over time. You then find yourself 6 months later, 6 years later, being like, how did we get here? We got here by all these little micro moments of withholding, of concealing, of not being completely transparent, of not allowing yourself to feel your feelings fully, right? So when we slightly pull back from each other, we no longer fully engage. You can't be fully engaged with something. And what I have learned is whether it's business, relationship, or life in general, like things tend to work out much more smoothly without obstacle, without struggle, and have an incredible more sense of creativity and collaboration and joy when we engage 100%, when we're absolutely 100% all in. Yeah. Right. I mean, being 80% in on a marriage doesn't necessarily work. Being 100% in on whether it's business, life, relationship, whatever it is. Right. All of it, right? Being fully engaged, right? So if we're withdrawing or if we're withholding, we're withdrawing, that means if you are withdrawing, you're not engaging. right? So often we say to ourselves that this person cannot be fully trusted. It's justification of this disengagement. Like, well, I'm disengaging because they're whatever, right? Fill in the blank. Yeah.
Right.
This withdrawal leads to the final step of relational disconnection, which is projection, right? They become the problem, right? When you begin to withdraw, you then project saying, well, they are doing X, Y, and Z. So that's why we don't have the connection we want to have. And marriage this, and the marriage that, and the kids this, and the kids that, and the finances this, and the finances that, which all could have been avoided with your courage. Again, I think at the very beginning, we talked about this. Courage, 100% courage to practice candor, right?
Yeah.
And we have studied these concepts before, and to a level where it's like, holy cow, you're able to communicate with each other in such a way that you're not withholding any information. I mean, imagine how much faster you progress in the training of an employee, like Heidi's talking about, in deeper connection with your spouse, in being able to create this environment of psychological safety, to be able to be more creative and collaborative, to where you're able to see different possibilities of how you're going to build a business or whatever it is, right? Whatever you're taking on, right? Yeah. Because you're no longer leaking energy. So you're able to put your full attention and energy into what's coming, what's next, into the future, rather than ruminating and holding on to and resisting and avoiding and denying and judging things that had happened yesterday, right? It's legitimately about transitioning from one moment to the next. It's about letting go of the past and being here in the present moment so you can project forward future based in a positive, constructive, structured way. That makes sense. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I love that. There's, they talk
we
about.
We got some comments coming in here.
Oh,
this is the first time I've seen this. Someone says, I have a big mouth on Facebook and joke around too much in real life. Okay. Well, and so now you've brought it to your awareness. And so now we can actually maybe do something with that to recognize.
Or not if you don't want to.
Or not, right? Yeah. It's always a choice.
Yeah, good stuff.
Hey, Blake, thanks for watching, man. We got to get in touch soon. Thanks for being here.
Awesome. Yeah, so there's 3 circles of candor. It's not just all about truthfulness, right? That's one part of it. Truthfulness. Am I really saying, what I'm saying? Does what I'm saying represent how I'm really feeling or what I'm perceiving my reality to be right now? And then openness, saying everything that you need to say. And then awareness, is seeing as much as there is to see in the situation. So just kind of having that open look at all of it, because the awareness piece really ties more into how you're consciously listening and being in relation to how other people are sharing with you too.
Right. And I think, and again, without us like sitting here and just hacking through the book, because you guys can read the book, right? You can check out the chapter. One of the things I want to stay with this projection for just a moment, right? So again, I think you can very clearly see how this plays out in relationship, in life, in business, in marriage, right? Is something happens that hits our stuff. It makes us feel not good enough.
Yeah.
Not worthy.
Like triggered in some way. Yeah.
Not smart, whatever, right? Makes us feel stupid, makes us feel less than in any way, shape, or form. We then don't communicate that. Therefore, that's our inability to have the courage to look at my stuff that got hit, my sense of not good enough, my sense of less than. I don't communicate that, so I don't put it on the table. So then I withdraw, right? I withhold that information, therefore I withdraw, then I begin to project, and then now there's just space between the two of us. And then what ends up happening is there's a rational thought, there's a judgment, and there's a justification that our mind then projects. So this is why, and I'm justified. And we tell our friends, well,
tell everybody the story.
Well,
right?
I'm right, and she's wrong, and this is why. And then we will go to look. Our projection will then perceive, when actually our consciousness will actually then look for the evidence that proves our case.
Right. See, that person can't be.
I become the lawyer of my own life. I'm now in the courtroom going, we'll see, and this and that and the other. Well, then we'll look for the actual confirmation that my rational justifications that I'm creating that has created a space between the two of us is really just the projection of my own stuff, right? And so it's just a
We are all leaders. If you're ready to stop waiting and start impacting your environment in a powerful way, we want to connect with you. Click the Book Now link in the show notes to book a call with a Heart First coach and discover what Heart First leadership can look like in your life and in your environment. Now back to the show. Yeah. And I think that's so many times, like in relationship or even within organizations and businesses, like how did we, like you were saying, how did we get here? How did we get to this point where there's so much disconnection within the group or within the relationship or the family as a whole, right? It's because of this withholding and then that projection that happens. And then pretty soon you have a group of people or two people in a relationship projecting all their stuff onto each other and wondering.
Don't stand a chance. No Sanchez, because this is a basic relative principle, is that what you seek, you find, right? And so if you're trying to seek this below the line concept of being right, you're going to find your evidence for it, right? Or that person isn't organized or is disrespectful, right?
Yeah.
And you will even, not only will you find what you're looking for, but you will actually unconsciously block your ability to see the opposite, to see the things that would contradict this current justification.
Right.
So if
like
there
the
is
nice things somebody does,
the nice things they do, right? The ways that they've grown, the ways that they're doing good things, right? The good things in an employee, in a relationship, whatever. Like, because you're now projecting the things that you don't like about this person, you're now not able to see the things that are good, right? And this happens, and then the vicious cycle is constant, So anyway.
Yeah. So communicating like what's present for you can look a lot of different ways. It can look like talking about what it is you're experiencing in the different ways that you experience it, in thought, in emotion, in physical sensations in the body. So you could express that in different ways. I could say to you, I'm having a thought that we're not spending enough time together, right? That's different than me coming and saying, we're not spending enough time together.
Right. Yeah.
Right. It feels different because I'm expressing a thought that I'm having, or I'm feeling, one of those 5 core emotions that we talked about in the last, commitment number 3, feeling all feelings. I'm feeling sad.
Yeah.
I'm feeling angry. Those are inarguable communication. You can't argue with it because it's someone's personal experience. Yeah. So when you communicate in a way where you're talking about what your personal experience is, it's much less threatening to the person that you're communicating with, because you're saying, really, you're prefacing it with, I'm communicating with you with candor in an effort to strengthen our connection. So I'm going to tell you that right now I'm having this thought that we're not spending enough time together. Okay. So it's received completely differently, but it's a lot about the phrasing and the intention behind it. And then also expressing body sensations. Yep. When you touch me here, that gives me this chills down my back.
Well,
right.
This is creating an environment where we're able to do this word, and you may like this word, but it's to heal. Like, what keeps us from the experience of life we want is the fact that there's parts of us that are unhealed, and our healing is not going to be in the characters and the narratives, but legitimately we put all that stuff on the table enough to be able to identify the sensations that are happening inside of our body. And our healing is in the characters. It's in the actual sensations inside of our body, to be able to recognize that, there's another component of just understanding the human experience enough to know that the mind judges, the mind creates stories, the mind rationalizes, the mind tries to justify. And so you just notice the mind doing all the things the mind does. Right. And and you don't get overly involved with it. You're able to kind of create some separation from it in a way that allows for you to be very curious. Coming back to these commitments all tied together, it becomes one just continuous conversation.
Yeah, take responsibility, get curious about it.
So I love the example that they use because it's based in connection, which social rejection becomes this really evident thing that we're trying to all avoid. We're trying to all avoid being socially rejected. So therefore, that's why we withdraw and we project and whatever, because I'd rather make them the villain than risk being disconnected, right?
Yeah.
Actually, one of the things that we're risking is like when we become very open and transparent, what may actually happen is we may actually experience the connection that we fear, right? We actually fear the light more than anything else. So when I become aware of being disrespected by somebody, by my spouse or by an employee or by this or by that or whatever, I'm able to then turn that around and be curious, right? I'm able to use that above the line curiosity. And they have a whole list of questions here. How am I being disrespectful in my life? How am I being disrespectful towards my, friend, boss, spouse, myself, right? Because again, that's how the projection works. And when you begin to really take hold of this and take responsibility and be curious, like all of your judgments are a projection about something that you have not yet healed or that you judge.
Yeah, that you're concealing about yourself.
About yourself.
Right. I just thought of something. Projection is a point of inspection.
Oh, that's it.
Okay. So when I'm projecting something onto someone, some sort of judgment, even if it seems totally unrelated, there is a relationship there in my own mind. There's a relationship maybe that I'm not conscious of to the judgment that I'm projecting onto someone else. It's just basically a mirror. So projection is a point of inspection. I like that. We should write that down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's important just to know, like we're going to commit to this to experience more connection first with ourselves and then with the people that we care about in our lives. But we're not committing to something like, speaking candidly to change the other individual, right? Because it can be very quick. This happens. And I had a conversation yesterday with somebody who they're like, well, yeah, but they're the person that needs the therapy. They're the person that needs the work. I've done the work. I'm in a good place. Okay. But you're still seeing how this person struggles to be able to communicate clearly, to be able to speak their feelings, to be able to see all these things. You're only able to see that stuff and project that onto them because there's still parts of you that has room for growth. And so it's our responsibility, even if the other party, is not overly involved. There might be a husband or there might be a wife that's like, this just isn't into the work. Then the mirror still gets shined back onto you to say, okay, well then how can I at least practice this sense of transparency with myself? I don't have to necessarily, and this is a foundational place to start, you guys, is if you're really leaning into understanding these commitments of consciousness, to be able to evolve. Like this is not just to live above the line. This is to evolve above the line, to stay above the line and continue our path towards what we call transcendence, or to be able to emerge and evolve and to raise our level of consciousness. The more we raise our level of consciousness, the more we're able to perceive the world in whole new ways. We're able to let go of our past paradigms that keep us trapped and caught in old experiences and rumination and struggle and addicted to the struggle to a certain degree, right? We actually like, oh, life is hard. Okay, well,
it's always going to be hard if
that's the case, right? Can we explore and open ourselves up to be curious? How am I making my life hard? Because you may not be in a relationship where the other person is willing to engage in conversation like this, but you can start with yourself. You can start with being very, very curious and speaking to yourself in a way that allows for you to identify your sensations. It allows for you to explore how you're feeling. It allows for you to look at these thoughts and to be able to put them on the table so you're able to objectify them in a way that releases some of the pressure that's built up around them. So you're able to recognize where there's room for growth. Your judgments are telling you. Your judgments are like slapping you in the face. The things that you judge about your kids, the things you judge about your spouse, the things you judge about the world, are the things that you're projecting out that are unhealed within you. And when you stop and go like, oh, like for me, I learned this and it was like, oh. So now you have to release the judgment about your judgment. Right? Because we judge and then we judge the fact that we're judging. No. The mind's going to judge. It's just information, right? Like what'd you say? Projection is a point of inspection.
Yes.
Awesome. So I recognize a judgment. Okay. Now it's time to do the work. Right. So I believe that everything begins with the relationship to ourselves. We can start these commitments without the involvement of anybody around us. We can have a certain level of path, being on a path of mastery, of understanding how to evolve and transcend and grow and raise our level of consciousness without even having to be in conversation with other people. Now, the momentum behind it is drastically, and the reward is obviously better if we're in a relationship where this is possible. But don't let that be your excuse. Is if, well, yeah, but my husband doesn't, or my wife doesn't, right? Okay, so then all of the responsibility lands on you. And that's it.
Yeah.
And the other side of this that we do just want to touch on quickly is a big part of this is to be able to listen without filters, right? To be able just to openly listen without trying to, what do they say? To diagnose, correct, avoiding conflict or defend yourself. Like how many times are we in conversation with somebody and we instantly are going to this defensive posture, being like, all right, well, I'm gonna learn how to deflect that.
Huge for me.
Yeah.
I mean, I spent most of my life in that place of very defensive.
Yeah,
very
guarded.
defensive.
And there's a posture to this too, you guys.
You can unlearn. That's the beautiful thing.
Just notice the next time you're in conversation with somebody and your arms are crossed.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, we've talked about that. As I just
uncross the arms, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so just all of this is like, oh, interesting.
Yeah, that's like self-protection,
100%.
Right? Self-protection.
Yeah. So there's a posture, there's a breath with all of there's the awareness, and you're not going to just make the decision to practice these commitments, and you're going to wake up tomorrow and it's going to be like, oh, I'm just above the line. Look at me.
I'm never going to be defensive. I'm never going to.
What do they say in
that?
And they say at one point, like people just be careful trying to. Oh, here it is, right here. I just haven't. Most people aren't interested in you trying to change them with all your fancy new consciousness techniques. Right. I love that line. Like it's just, we have to just recognize that there's this is a constant inspection, a constant awareness, a constant growth journey to know that, like, yes, there's always more work to do. There is no there. We're constantly looking at how we can live further above the line, to have new experiences, to create new paradigms, to create new self-concepts, to be able to perceive the world in new and different ways. So we, continue to.
I want to touch on one so we talked about the different ways, like the listening filters that we can be using that are not helping connection or not helping active listening or conscious listening in this case. But we talked about trying to diagnose or be a fixer, to coming up with a solution for whatever the person's talking about, correcting them, avoiding conflict, and defending. But then the last one here that we didn't touch on was personalizing or hearing how what another is saying relates to you. That one's really tough because as human beings, we want to relate things back to our own experience and draw on our own. Well, I'd had that happen to me one time, and let me tell you a story about that. And sometimes, just being able to listen without that agenda of, or unconsciously going into telling your own story about something or relating it to your own experience can be really powerful for the person that you're communicating with, and powerful for your connection with them, for them just to be able to say what they need to say and be heard and not have it related back to your own personal experience. I think you have to be careful with that one. That I see that happen a lot, and I've personally done that a lot as I relate it back to my own personal experience. But
we're really good at making things about us
as human beings.
Right. So just when you begin to become aware of, like, this is, again, this is a lot of just awareness is where it all starts, right? It's like, I aware how in every conversation, I'm wondering when it's my turn to talk, or when It's all going to come back to be, I don't like it when they disagree with me. I like it better when they agree. It's all trying to come back to make yourself feel okay. Right. And so, yeah,
I thought that was an interesting one, and we kind of skipped over that, but I think it's an interesting thing to become conscious of. Like next time you're in a conversation with someone and you're listening, or you're trying to listen, and you notice that you're coming up with a solution for them, or being defensive, or relating to your own experience. How can you just pull back in that moment and check in with yourself and just take a conscious breath and slow it down and really engage with that person? I think that seems like a little thing, but that could do wonders in any relationship or within, your work life as well. So I love that. I love that conscious listening as part of this.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, we've been going for 35 minutes. Exactly.
Wow. Okay.
So, I mean, there's more to talk about. There's more things to look at here. It's just a wonderful conversation. As always, we encourage you to, if you pick up the book, if you haven't done so already, and to follow along with us. We're going to continue all the way through all 15 of these commitments. And we're just excited to continue this journey together. Reach out with any questions.
Oh, yeah. Join our free community. Also, we're going to put the link in there. We've got some awesome downloadable resources that we're going to include with ways that you can do this, speaking unarguably, like telling what's true for you, ways that you can, what they call eating your own projections. So being able to take that as a point of inspection and turn that around and see where that's coming from and have that curiosity to learn from it yourself. And then just some other great resources on how to give and receive feedback. So join our free community. I'll put the link in here. We've got all kinds of awesome resources in there, and we want you to be a part of the conversation.
Awesome. That's it. So thank you for your time. We'll see you next week.
Thank you for listening. Remember, leaders go first. Alignment matters, and the environment that you create is the legacy you'll leave. We'll see you on the next episode.